It's a blessed day once again, family. I hope I find you well wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to Live with Chatufa. We are giving you information of what is happening in the country as we continue to believe God for change, because we need new leaders and our country definitely needs some leaders that can take our country higher. What we have seen so far with ZANU-PF has been nothing else but failure, nothing else but mediocrity. Most Zimbabwean parents are stranded as schools reject the local Zig currents. This is just one of the most devastating things to ever happen, especially after we have seen, the schools opening this week. And schools are opening at a time when the Zig had collapsed also. And quite a lot of shops and businesses are beginning to reject the Zig. They now want to deal with hard currencies, and this is becoming very, very difficult, especially for the people and the parents that are sending their children to school. You see, the most disturbing thing is that Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, they do not want to engage Zimbabweans when they start to do their policies. Their policies are done, behind their own closed doors. They come up with their weird suggestions of what they want to do, especially on issues that are pertaining to the running of the economy. And yet the economy involves the people. You can't have an economy suggested by the government or by those people that are in power alone, and yet they are segregating the majority of the people. That becomes a big problem, because now as we speak right now, we are at a situation where we will continue to see more and more of the Zig collapsing and collapsing every day. And this is going to be a very, very big problem, because this very same government still wants to pay its workers in Zig. They don't want to pay in hard currency, or because this hard currency is being presented by Mnangagwa government as a tool to steal. It's just an exchange, a commodity of exchange that they are using so that they can siphon the US dollar out of the economy and out of the pockets of Zimbabwean people. That's the whole thing. So you wonder why they want to force this Zig money that they know that they are simply changing the kind of paper from bond note, and then they make another different design and they give it a different name, and they think that by simply doing that, then automatically it is going to be gaining value and it is strong. The issue of campaigning for the Zig, this is not politics, this is economics. And you can't combine these two things to say you can make noise, make dramas and songs about Zig and threaten people, arrest people, thinking that it is going to work. But now we are seeing once again the Zig has collapsed, and nobody wants it. Even that very government, the owner of the Zig, they don't want it. Mnangagwa himself, he has been seen on many occasions issuing out money to people, and the money that he has always been having in his pocket are US dollars. We have never seen him taking out any Zig from their pocket, and this money is just for the poor people of Zimbabwe. The big wigs of ZANU-PF are never touching this money. Some, they don't even know how it looks like, because it never comes across them. They always use the US dollar and the other hard currencies. So this is the scenario and the pathetic situation that we find in Zimbabwe. And now it is affecting a lot of people, especially parents, who are now trying to pay school fees in that very currency, and yet schools are rejecting the Zig. Nobody can blame the schools, because schools would receive that Zig. They would want to go and buy their necessities using that Zig to run the schools, and then they find no way to buy, because the Zig is being rejected everywhere. So how then will schools be able to run if they will have the Zig? They want to go and buy books. Bookshops are refusing the Zig. They want to go and buy food. Supermarkets, big supermarkets, or some big wholesalers are refusing the Zig. How are they going to run the school? They will come back with the Zig. Children can't eat the Zig. Children can't write on the Zig. You see, that is a problem. So the problem is not really with the people or with the parents or the schools themselves, because we've seen quite a lot of other ZANU-PF Farakash coming out lambasting schools and headmasters for refusing the Zig. But this is not their problem. Where do you want them to put the Zig if they can't buy what the schools need to run with that Zig? So ZANU-PF will always find someone else to blame for their failures except themselves. They would want to point at someone else except themselves. And that is the problem that we are having. So many parents are finding it very difficult with this biting economy. They are in a serious problem. They can't just find themselves being able to pay the fees. For those that have the Zig, they can't pay in the Zig. And there are others that don't even have that Zig to pay. They are not working. Things are difficult and the economy is not working. They've no source of income whatsoever. And their children are being chased away from school and they can't do anything about it. Some are old people. They are grannies and grandpas who can't provide anymore because they are old. For the grandchildren, and grandchildren need school fees. So this is exactly the situation, very painful situation that we are seeing in Zimbabwe. While we have a government that does not care, the government continues to go on with their business and ignore the plight of the Zimbabwean people. We have seen today, we were talking about Mnangagwa shutting down the whole government business and take all ministers to his farm. And you can ask yourself, for the why and how is this going to benefit Zimbabwe? Millions and millions are lost today because government business is halted just because Mnangagwa wants to gallivant, to show off at his farm and bringing all ministers to his farm. So I just want to show you the video coming from Zim Life, okay, Mashingo, the Mira Mashingo, which is saying schools in Mashingo are sending pupils away over unpaid fees. Most parents who spoke to the Mira said the schools are refusing to accept fees in local currency, right? This is the problem that we are seeing. So we just want to hear this old Magogo.
Nemakore andava nawo kuti wandononotumba make kokoko ndipo basa ndiani ike zvino 74 years muzukuru ndiyeyu akaenda kuchikoro unonodzingwa ndomudi regai tichinda kuzvikoro kwachona ikoko vachinotipa zvokushanda chero vakati ndisike toilet ndichisukira muzukuru wangu ndinotoda chose kuti aende kuchikoro nokuti handidi kuti agozonzi idofo kana kuti imbavha kana kuti uri kudhakwa nezvinodhaka zviri kutikuvadzira vana navazukuru mazuva ano kumudzinga kwavanoita chiuya kumba havatoferipo pamba unotosvika kuti waendepi wouya mwana ziso rakatsvuka kuti piriviri konochemei handisi kuchemei kandobhese gwavo nezere rimoti ndodini nokuti izvezvi guka kana ari kuchikoro zvimwe zvinomudarika unobva kuchikoro wachara wouya wotodya sadza pamba iwe uri kuona kuti mwana uri pamba zvino kana achiuya kuti 7:30 mwana wadiwa pamba wadzingwa kuchikoro zvokwadi hurumende ngaione zvokuita nokuzingwa zvikoro kwavana nokuti tingatoresheka zvachose nyangwe chipurisa ndipinzei nyangwe chisoja ndipinzei kuti muzukuru wangu aende kuchikoro.
Vana vanodzingwa chikoro munomunyika zvakatooma apa kune zhara tatova nezhara isingaiti vana vabva kuchikoro vadzingwa mwana wacho noenda chikoro asina mumba odzoswazve kuno kumba handitoona chekutomupa chero noina handanga chekuti nditodya pache zvangu chero tinde kumabhawa kwachina hakuna kana chitinowana arume hatombotipi kana mari unokupa 50 cents nyangwe tikatsvaka basa hariwanikwi takati taya.
So you see, this is the problem that we are seeing. This is a very, very serious issue that is happening with the population because we have heard that the issue of the BEAM has also started to be corrupt like any other system of ZANU-PF. BEAM has been corrupted. Now it is those that are allocating the children that benefit on BEAM. They are also corrupt. Just imagine. This was one thing that used to help. But the last time again, ZANU-PF government, Mnangagwa's government, failed to allocate the funds for BEAM to help the children. And the other problem that we also have is we don't have old people's pensions in Zimbabwe, like what we see in other countries like South Africa, Botswana, and others, where the people, our elders who are 65 and above, they begin to receive 60 and above, they begin to receive old people's pensions. If these people could be having these old people's pensions, they could be able to pay at least for the orphans and the grandchildren that they are taking care of. But unfortunately, it's not happening in our own country because we have a government that is just selfish, that is taking money into its pocket and forgetting about everyone else.
Vana vapinde ipapo kana tisinawo mari tongonotaurawo kuti mari hatisati yaiwana zvino chero government yachina yongodzinga iwe mari unousina yekuti utenge chikafu mupa hauna yekuti unewo wangoti mwana regai agezi vaindi chero ndisina mari odzoka futi adzoka zvava nemastress akawanda kuti chikafu ndomupe wadzoka chikoro unoda kudya kuchikoro kwachona wanzouya nemari ini mari handina ini wachona pandogara Rindiro ndivanodawo mari yavo. Chero vakati havo uyai kuchikoro mudhige maruva, tinongoda todhiga maruva yavo votipa nanikiri piecework toita vana vopinda chikoro pane kuti vadzinge vana. Torarama sei navo muno mustriti. Ndo vaya vana vanozoswe guka. Nokuti vana zvezvikana adzingwa naye tokuroko. Kusvika zuva riti nya une achita nezvei. Onosvinda uko onosvita mutoriro. Saka zvibetseri zviri nane vangoti titaurira nesu vabereki asi vana mwana ari muchikoro.
Vakangovhura nezuro nhasi todzingwa techimboerenga kuti tofarapiwa nguva yekutsvaga mari yacho. Pamapayments pacho chichemo ndechekuti kumari yenyika zvairi kushanda mazigi sei isu tichizobhadhara mayusi.
Kuzvikoro kwacho havasi kuda zvemazigi ende mari dzacho dziri kutonetsa. Vari kutongodzinga vanaenda vana chavada kutaurirana nevana nevabereki. Asi magrade 7 atosara ne12 days dzekuti vanyore. Asi vana vavo vari kudzingwa. Upenyu hwakaoma. Izvezvi vabereki vari kutoshayiwa kana chikafu chokupa vana vacho vachienda kuchikoro.
Hey, this is so painful. This is just the situation that is on the ground. And when you look at this, I'm telling you, you can tell that our country has gone to the dogs. This really is a very painful experience. It really pains. And we have a government that is squandering millions into billions, and they don't care about anyone. They never think about anyone except their children and themselves. When shall we ever get to rest as the people of Zimbabwe? We really need to continue fighting for Zimbabwe. We really need to continue pushing until victory is certain. Zimbabweans can only rest when Mnangagwa and his evil party will leave our country. That and only then and only when can we start to see Zimbabwe and Zimbabwean people beginning to rejoice. Otherwise, it's painful to be Zimbabwean today. It's painful to be in Zimbabwe. And we really need God's intervention in this country. Otherwise, the thing that we are seeing happening, our children are being destroyed. The leaders of tomorrow are being destroyed. They can't go to school. And the teachers are demoralized. Teachers don't have money in their pockets. Teachers too are also hungry. Just imagine the child is hungry, the teacher is hungry, the parent is hungry. Then who is going to help who? That is the scenario that is on the ground. But do we have any government that cares? Nada. We have no government that cares. And this is why we are praying to God for his intervention in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe needs God. Our situation is sad. Our situation is pathetic. Let's continue praying for Zimbabwe and putting pressure that ZANU-PF must collapse and our country can begin to work. I want to appreciate you for joining me on this show, family. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. As always, subscribe to the channel, like and share, and also put a comment. We want to hear what you think about it. Don't go away. We will continue to be giving you updates as we proceed with the day. You are blessed.